Hey everyone, Josh from Wargaming Noob Historical back with a new series of videos called Getting Started. Today I will be talking about getting started in Bolt Action. So Bolt Action is a skirmish level World War II war game. It is a great entry point into historical wargaming with easy to pick up rules and has a large stable of armies or nations and factions to choose from, such as the US, British, Germans, Soviets, and Japanese, to minor nations and factions like the Finnish, Hungarians, and Italians. If there's a historical army you want to play that fought in World War II, Bolt Action pretty much has it. With that said, let's get started. So there are several different ways to get into Bolt Action as a wargamer. The easiest way is to get Bolt Action Band of Brothers. It is a two-player starter that has two opposing forces, the US Airborne and German Panzer Grenadiers. Along with the two small opposing forces, you get everything else you need to get started in the game. You get an A5 sized full rulebook. You get order dice, which are essential to the gameplay of Bolt Action. You also get templates and a ruined farmhouse terrain piece, which is fantastic, especially if you are a wargamer getting into historicals, especially World War II, and you don't normally have terrain for this time period. This is a great jumping off point, at least in terrain perspective, to get that set up and for further World War II historical wargaming. Band of Brothers is just enough to break the ice in Bolt Action without fully committing to the game system and gives you an idea of how the game plays. So let's look a little bit closer at what comes in Band of Brothers. You get 24 US Airborne Infantry, which includes a 30 cal medium machine gun support weapon. On the German side, you get 12 Panzer Grenadiers and a 251-10 half-track. You also get the A5 sized full rulebook and in full color. A5 is great. It's digest size. You can throw it in your bag and bring it to tournaments or to your buddy's house when you're playing Bolt Action. You get templates for the game. You get pin markers, which are also essential for the game mechanics. And then, of course, the ruined farmhouse, which is a great way to start getting terrain pieces for World War II skirmish wargaming. Now, Band of Brothers is not a perfect entry point into Bolt Action. While you do get everything that you need to play the game, there are a couple of limitations that I will point out to you, which could impact how you view this as an entry point into Bolt Action. Alright, so let's talk about force organization in Bolt Action. At minimum, for a reinforced platoon, you want to field an officer and 2 squads. For the US Airborne side, you have 24 infantry. Out of the 24 infantry, you will need to build an officer and possibly 1 or 2 bodyguards to protect that officer in the game. That still leaves you with enough US Airborne infantry to create 2 large-size squads, which will fulfill the force organization for playing reinforced platoon in Bolt Action. First problem that we get to is the German side. You get only 12 Panzer Grenadiers. So the 12 Panzer Grenadiers are outnumbered by the US Airborne 2-1 in this starter. Again, with force organization, you have to have an officer. You can have up to 2 bodyguards, but then that leaves you with just enough to make min squads or smaller squads of Panzer Grenadiers. So let's say you create an officer, you create 1 bodyguard, that leaves you with 10 infantry to create 2 5-man squads. Compared to the US Airborne, they're going to be at a distinct disadvantage. Not only that, not only in numbers, but because the price point for Germans are a lot more expensive than other nations, other factions in the game. So the 2 disadvantages: small and very expensive. The third disadvantage of the German side is that they want you to build the 251-10 anti-tank half-track out of the kit that's provided in Band of Brothers. And while the 251-10 half-track is a nice starter anti-tank vehicle, the problem is that on the US Airborne side there is no armored vehicles, there are no tanks, so it would be ineffective against the forces of the US Airborne, especially since the US Airborne are very tough to kill because of a couple of things like veteran and all that fun stuff. So, but you do have the option of not using the upgrade sprue for the 251-10. Rather, you can build the 251-1 with a medium machine gun, and that would be more effective against the US Airborne. Unfortunately, that still doesn't like erase the fact that they wanted you to build the 25110. It's just nice that you still have the option to build the 251-1 with the medium machine gun. So those are the disadvantages on the German Panzer Grenadier side. Outnumbered, very expensive, and the 25110. Although that can be circumvented by building the 251-1. The last disadvantage to Band of Brothers being a perfect entry point into bolt action are the order dice. Now, for bolt action, the order dice are an essential part of the game. The mechanic of the order dice is how you allocate actions to units in your army. And while 5 for each side, you get 5 olive drab, you get 5 gray, 1 the olive drab for the US Airborne, the gray for the Germans, is enough for the forces that you can create out of Band of Brothers. Once you decide to expand beyond Band of Brothers, you're going to hit a wall. Even with you maxing out your squads, you need an order die for each unit that you're going to field in your force, and 5 is not enough, especially if you're deciding to go to a larger point game. I think an average game of bolt action is about 1,000 points. That could be quite a few orders, and 5 is definitely not going to cover it. Warlord Games does sell a pack of 12 order dice of different colors for each faction and nation, but again, that's another investment outside of the initial starter that could easily have been remedied had Warlord packaged 8 order dice for each side rather than 5, because 8 will actually go a long way to helping you have enough order dice for when you expand beyond Band of Brothers, if you're building up your forces from Band of Brothers as your starter. So while these disadvantages are not game-breaking negatives, they can impact how you expand beyond Band of Brothers if you continue in bolt action. Bolt action, 2-player starter Band of Brothers, it's a decent entry point into bolt action. It gives you everything that you need to get started and to learn to play the game. You get 2 opposing forces that can get up to about 450 points. You get the A5 size rulebook. You get templates, pin markers. You also get that wonderful Ruined Farmhouse terrain piece. Again, Band of Brothers is not a perfect entry point. There are distinct disadvantages. The German forces are kind of mismatched with the Airborne with only 12 Panzer Grenadiers. And then if you kit out the 251-10 half-track, that is pretty much ineffective against the large amount of US Airborne that you will be facing. And then finally, you're going to hit a limitation with the amount of order dice that are included in the box, included in the 2-player starter. If you're choosing to expand beyond Band of Brothers, whether you're growing your US Airborne or your German Panzer Grenadiers, having 5 order dice per faction is going to limit the amount of orders that you can deploy on the field without having to buy the order dice pack for your nation. So again, not a perfect entry into bolt action, but it's a decent starter, and it will get you started in bolt action. Alright, that's it. Tell me what your thoughts are about Band of Brothers as an entry point into bolt action. If you like this video, go ahead and click like. If you've not subscribed yet, I'd appreciate it if you do subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can get notified of any future videos. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more getting started in bolt action from Wargaming Noob Historical.